Okay, I'm Beth Uyenco, and I have just joined comScore, and 2 months ago, before I was at Microsoft for 6 years doing global research, and before that I was working for Omnicom. So a lot of the ideas and feelings I'm going to express in my presentation today, it really is sort of a hodgepodge of things that I have learned as a professional in research. So the topic is big data, and there's a lot of conversations about big data. I thought Wikipedia is the end-all, be-all of all knowledge. So I thought I'd make it easy here and just take a definition of big data from Wikipedia. So it's not just a buzzword, but something that many of us who are deep in research, are deep in digital audience research, live and breathe by now. And big data is a loosely defined term used to describe data sets so large and complex that they become awkward to work with using on-hand database management tools. And boy, have I gone through that experience for the last 5 years. And it says, so says Wikipedia. And the difficulties include capturing the data, storage, searching for the data, or for the right types of data, sharing of the data, the analysis, and finally visualization. And visualization has been key to being able to make sense of all the output from big data. Now, McKinsey did a great white paper called Big Data, and I suggest that you try and read that. That's available on the internet, so it's not something proprietary to McKinsey. And McKinsey says in this report that there are 4 basic characteristics of big data: volume, velocity, variety, and visualization. Volume is pretty obvious. It's greater than any of our current data storage capabilities can manage. And here we're talking not about gigabytes, we're talking about terabytes, petabytes, or zettabytes. Think huge. Second is velocity, and this is more of the demands that are made on big data. There are things, how many of you here are involved with real-time bidding, or either as a seller or as a buyer? Or provide, okay, cool. So a lot of this real-time activity in the buying and selling of of digital advertising requires instant access and instant management of this type of data, web behavior data. Variety, meaning to come up with the insights with the business intelligence that big data can provide, it requires the aggregation of disparate sets of data. And I'll show you examples of what I mean by that. And fourth is visualization. Has anybody here used Data Pivot by Microsoft? Okay, again, another free piece of software. Look for it, and it's a good way of understanding, an easy, free way of being able to take data that you have on hand, perhaps not big data, but it's a good start, how to visualize the data and helps in analytics. Okay. So just a quick example of what I mean by companies that are involved in big data. Google Analytics, enough said. Hopefully you visited their exhibit. The other thing is Yahoo. Yahoo has just announced that they're going to provide this system called Genome. Not yet working yet. A lot of it is in beta, but it leverages registration data, search, and behavior on Yahoo, AOL, MSN, and 1,000 other websites. So again, a lot of potential for that. There are other companies, too, that exist. They may not be selling advertising like Google or MSN or Yahoo, but they are pretty much integral to those of us, like at Microsoft Advertising, where we were trading in advertising. One is Acxiom, and actually in comScore, we use Acxiom services a lot. It allows us to access and analyze our users down to not geodemographic, but actually to individuals, because Acxiom has databases on individuals. A little scary, right? But we've found it very useful in being able to fill in a lot of the gaps we have on our panelists' demographics. There's a company called Apt, and it uses it has a cloud-based platform for customers to do data queries related to allocating marketing budgets. There's Bloomreach, and probably the one that I was most fascinated with when I was working at Microsoft was BlueKai, which is arguably the most interconnected media independent data management platform and data. Really powerful, very creative stuff that they produce. So let's talk about the business of big data and what exactly, what are the missions that big data is used for. In the world I lived in at Microsoft Advertising, I've seen big data applications for optimizing audiences, our channels when we put together big deals, because we did have, Microsoft Advertising does have a lot of advertising platforms. So we want to optimize audiences as well as optimize the correct mix of channels, and also website optimizations. Now, big data also plays a huge role in managing our Microsoft ad inventory, and it also is fuel for a lot of ad exchanges, whether they're on the demand side, in other words, demand side buyers, or the seller side, like Microsoft. And also a lot of data management platforms. So if you are also a website publisher, not just for selling, big data also helps you optimize the content of your website. So, what are the essentials of big data analytics? First is integration, data-driven integration of disparate data sets. I already said that many times, many companies actually integrate these disparate sets of data to build business intelligence. So that's aggregation. The second is stripping, is what we call anonymization, and a lot of the big web publishers do that. We strip personally identifiable information and try to, and still be able to maintain the individual observations, behavior of individuals. And that's how we build these anonymized data sets. We also need a good infrastructure for being able to manage all these huge data sets that we're aggregating. So this is where people come in, and it's very important. We could easily lose and become very vain about the wizardry of our data analysis and our algorithms. But we still need marketing savvy. But that special discipline now among marketers is that orientation of being data-driven, because again, this is big data after all, right? But we need marketers who understand data, appreciate data, and know what data can do. At the same time, and this is where the rub is, you need IT analysts or engineers who are willing to listen to what the marketers are saying. And I've been living this for 5 years, and to some degree, we have sort of the yin-yang within comScore too. And I think this is natural for any organization that is so data-driven. comScore has masses of data. You do need that sort of that engineering mind to think through technologies and software and data structures, right? And sometimes the engineers and the analysts will get really dazzled by what their software, the routines can do, or the great algorithms. But you need that yin and yang of the marketing brain and the very structural engineering brain to make magic out of big data. Thirdly, you need a network of data-centric technology and service partners. There is rarely a company that would have all the solutions within their walls or under one roof. You do need the partnership of people, of other companies who specialize in different parts of that whole ecosystem of big data. And lastly, and we talked a lot about this in the other room, there's this, we really need data governance, whether it's both internally and externally as an industry, because this privacy issue is going to bite us in the butt if we really don't have the right measures in place with within our organizations. Now, traditional research has had even more share of challenges than ever before. I've been in the research business for 25 years, and it's just getting worse in terms of some of the weaknesses of our conventional methods in consumer research. When we move towards studying digital media audiences, we find that the long tail is getting longer and samples have to be very large. The problem is we can't afford those large samples anymore. So this is where big data is able to really get us up to where we need to be. Inventory exceeds demand. If you're on the supply side of media, you need even more data to prove the value of your properties. It's harder to recruit respondents via traditional methods, and it's getting more expensive. Digital has multiple modes, whether, you've got to evaluate search versus display versus video versus gaming. And then there are technical complexities behind delivering the digital content. And so there's even more reason that engineering, the IT mind blends well with marketing mind. Okay, so elusive pure probability samples mean that we need more data mashups through hybrid and fusion approaches. And we do need quantitative and qualitative, because it's the qualitative that helps us start to look past hard data into what's next, that foresight that is needed, not just insight. So I don't mean to brag about my company, but there's a reason why I joined it, and it's because it's grown quite a bit because it has to innovate in research, and as proof points, it's gotten quite a lot of awards within the industry because of the innovation it's brought into consumer research. So here's one illustration. This is what I mean about hybrid. We've taken census data. We found a patented way of taking panel data, which provides us demography of our panelists, of web users, plus the census data from servers of publishers whose properties, audiences we measure. And that's what we call unified digital measurement. I won't belabor this, but understand that here, what we're doing is taking census data, big data, right, and conventional panel data, merging that to get a better idea of how web audiences can be measured, or what web audiences are doing. Okay, so but the challenges remain. We still have huge, a lot farther to go in terms of mobile measurement, how to properly measure audiences to applications, and these are clearly technical problems. Total digital universe, how do you come up with a net reach audience of PC, mobile, tablet, and how do you also look at the cross-media measurement for video? So the digital world is far more complex. I won't go through this. This will be in the slides that will be made available to you afterwards. But I just wanted to show you, as we become more technically creative in how we send content out there in the world, it's complicated the world of the researcher. Okay, so, and I want to show you how much non-PC web traffic is a part of that total web universe now. And here I'm showing 5 countries. You can see that non-PC traffic is gaining more and more share of total digital time, which has really created some real technical challenges in audience measurement. Most of it is being drawn away, the PC traffic is being drawn away by mobile. So mobile right now accounts for about 2/3 of non-PC traffic for the web. And within the two most popular devices, phones and tablets, you can see from here, and I'm comparing the incremental reach with, between tablet and mobile, and you can see that the behavior with tablet use is very different from behavior in mobile. And we have to account for that in our measurement as well. So diving into the multi-platform, and I think this is where I will leave you. in the digital measurement ecosystem, this is our world right now. It's, we work with at least five different data streams, and this is where aggregation comes in, and there's a heck of a lot of processes involved in terms of harmonizing this data, as well as cleaning the data. So we have network logs, site tags, application tags, then we have household panels for people, and user panels for people as well. The opportunities, I'll speed up here and end with this. This actually just came out of Warwick's newsletter this morning. I wanted to leave with you this idea that there's a ton of opportunities with big data, just as there are challenges, and the people who come close to being able to slay those dragons are the ones who are going to be very successful. There's a lot of demand. Companies need help in terms of having to in terms of building that big data capability. 93% are unable to come up with the right insights, and they recognize that they're leaving a lot on the table in terms of revenue because they're not able to leverage the big data opportunities. The hurdles are inadequate data collection systems, lack of access to information, and an absence of tools. Yes, tools are very important. But please read the last line, because this is what's very important. This is what we personally can contribute. The main challenge is translating information into actionable intelligence. As I said, there's that yin and yang of the very engineering-driven mind and the data-driven marketer mind. And we need to bring those two together. And that would be the two elements of success. Thank you.